This type of injury, like, you don't know. When I wake up, I'll feel, different than the day before. And
this is the first time we heard from Caitlin since the team announced on Memorial Day she was dealing with a left quad strain. She would be out for at least 2 weeks.
We were told that Clark was not seen in the open portion of practice by reporters who are on the ground there.
Just watch and absorb it, and it's the same when, I'm not active too.
The update on Caitlin Clark's injury has stunned the WNBA and delivered news the league was hoping to avoid.
We'll see. But it could be a possibility, but I could also not be available for that game too. I think just having good perspective is the best way to approach it. Like, yeah, you can be frustrated and whatnot, but, I think the medical team has done a really good job of,
This whole organization relies on a single woman, and they've pushed her to the point where she can no longer perform or rescue their empty arenas. The fear speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'll be reevaluated this weekend, so I'll miss this weekend's game, but after that, it's, day by day and see how I feel and just kind of turn to the medical staff and what they think.
Caitlin Clark has finally broken her silence, and surprisingly, she won't be making an early return. But honestly, did we really expect her to rush back into a league where she takes a beating night after night, like she's in a street brawl? And now we're all supposed to act shocked that she's not coming back immediately.
I think the medical team has done a really good job of, doing my rehab every single day, staying in a routine, coming in, getting shots up. But more than anything, I think just focusing on being a really good teammate, being there for my teammates, being a voice for them.
Clark went down clutching her left quad on May 25th during a high-stakes matchup against the reigning champions, the New York Liberty. She's the team's biggest star and the league's top attraction, yet it appears the league didn't treat the injury with the seriousness it deserved.
We've been told so far by the team is that this is actually an injury that was separate from the quad tightness issue, as Caitlin Clark described it earlier in the preseason, that she dealt with before. So it's a little bit of interesting situation given that it was the same leg.
On Memorial Day, the Fever finally announced that Clark would be sidelined for at least 2 weeks, news that seemed to send the league into disarray, as if it had been barely holding together. Clark confirmed she'd be missing the upcoming weekend game and that her return would depend on how she feels, evaluated day by day. Don't expect a quick comeback. She's not about to jeopardize her career just so the league can keep exploiting her while offering little to no protection. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe my channel for more awesome content. Thanks.
Caitlin was asked when she's expected to come back. She told us she would be reevaluated after the weekend. After that, it would be day by day. The Fever are on the road for 2 road games before coming back to Gainbridge Fieldhouse next Saturday.
Clark's reevaluation is set for June 9th, but let's be real. No one's expecting a dramatic Marvel-style comeback. She's a person, not a marketing tool, and this injury has clearly tested her limits. So what's she doing during her recovery? Meanwhile, the league seems to be blaming gravity, and fans are understandably upset. The June 7th matchup against the Chicago Sky was hyped as a must-see event, but once Clark was ruled out, ticket prices plummeted, from over $80 to just $14. That's not a drop, it's a fire sale. Fans cancelled trips, got refunds, and hotels were left empty. People didn't even think it was worth the gas. And honestly, who can blame them for not wanting to pay premium prices just to watch Angel Reese treat the court like a Gatorade commercial, while the league's true star sits out with a serious quad injury?
Caitlin telling us she's been a connector between her coaches and teammates. They've gone 1-2 without her, and they'll be without her again this weekend.
For once, the internet seemed to align, as hashtags like #ProtectOurPlayers and #BoycottWNBA began trending across social media. One viral tweet, shared thousands of times, summed up the frustration. Why should we support a league that can't even protect its biggest star? Fans are done staying silent, they are angry, and they've got the receipts.
So I think that's just kind of been the time for me to really find some patience, and I've never been a patient person my entire life, so this has definitely tested me a little bit, but I think it's going to be really good for me, and like I said, I've just tried to approach it in the best way I possibly can. I can't change it.
Fever ticket prices took a steep dive, dropping from an average of $137 to just $80. This isn't a simple marketing issue, it's a full-blown league crisis. When the face of your entire brand goes down and suddenly everyone realizes, wait, there's no contingency plan, just vibes, things start to unravel fast.
The girl is spectacular. It's not like she's not a scrub, she's not only can play, she's a star caliber player who draws this attention.
Instead of holding her accountable for some of her more serious missteps, the league basically gave her a pat on the back, like saying, great job nearly taking someone's head off, here's a gold star. It raises the question, what exactly are we doing here? The WNBA's disciplinary process is so inconsistent, it might as well be run by Magic 8 Balls.
WNBA's trash.
It's hard not to notice the WWE-style theatrics unfolding on the court. Between Carrington's reckless hits and Reese's over-the-top drama, it's starting to feel more like a scripted wrestling match than professional basketball. Players are dropping like dominoes while the league stands by, offering nothing more than inspirational tweets from the sidelines.
When a player is injured, if the other team knows that a player is injured, they will go at that player.
Let's be honest, Caitlin Clark is out. The WNBA has been exposed, the buzz has worn off, the arenas are half empty, and tickets now cost less than a Happy Meal. Angel Reese is still caught up in a one-sided celebrity rivalry, but without Caitlin, she's basically performing for no one. Meanwhile, Carrington's out there playing as if people's heads are basketballs.
Just focusing on being a really good teammate, being there for my teammates, being a voice for them, because that's what I am when I'm playing. So you got to still be that consistent voice when I'm sitting on the bench. So I try to do that as much as I can for them, and just try to be there for them, I think, has been my focus.
Let's not dance around the truth. This is outright negligence, and it's the league, not Caitlin Clark, that bears the responsibility for fixing it. But judging by how things look now, the only thing the WNBA seems committed to defending is its own denial. When Clark left the court, so did much of the fans' excitement. And with that, the league's revenue model started to crumble. The arenas began to echo like empty warehouses, and even the popcorn vendors looked like they'd rather be somewhere else.
Everything that you guys told us during the offseason about playing quick, playing with pace, pushing the ball up the court, everyone run, they weren't doing that, especially in the last.
While Clark was out, the Indiana Fever went 1-2, and that lone win wasn't the result of brilliant coaching. It came thanks to Ari McDonald, a player signed on a hardship contract, who stepped in without a single practice and carried the team like she'd been part of the roster all season.
But for the Fever, one thing to keep in mind is that this is a sort of situation where the next 2 weeks, luckily for them, the schedule is a little bit playing the Chicago Sky, the Connecticut Sun, who haven't won yet. So they are trying to hold down the fort for now, while Caitlin Clark will be out.
Believe me, after Clark's injury, social media exploded. Fans were outraged, demanding stricter officiating, real player protection protocols, and a complete rethink of how the league promotes its stars. You'd expect the WNBA to show some urgency after losing its most valuable asset to reckless contact. But instead, their response seemed to be, let's just hope no one asks too many questions.
A lot of you were commenting that she was sick. You could hear it in her voice that she was sick. It seems like at this point, this is the reason why we haven't seen Caitlin at 100%. We haven't seen her as quick as we saw her last season.
Even Chicago Sky fans, who were likely excited for Reese's highly anticipated rematch, started backing out, with some openly announcing they were returning their tickets. One fan bluntly stated, "If Clark's not playing, it's not worth it." This highlights what's being called the Clark effect, a growing concern for the WNBA, where fans lose interest in attending games for their own team simply because the opposing star, Caitlin Clark, isn't on the court.
Covers up a lot of stuff when you're in the heat of battle, and after the game I had some pain, and then got an MRI, and that kind of gave me the result that I didn't want to see, but those type of things don't lie, so yeah.
Let's be honest, the sentiment that this league is trash without Clark didn't come out of nowhere. Fans were furious over the dirty plays, missed calls, and the deafening silence from the WNBA's PR team. The moment real accountability was needed, it felt like the league hit the mute button on itself.
Think that it's going to be longer than 2 weeks. With them saying a minimum of 2 weeks, I feel like that's kind of just giving us breadcrumbs, just giving us enough information, and I actually don't think that they're going to give more for the sake of Caitlin.
Fans were sharing clips of players using body slams as if they were legitimate defense, and commentators were calling out the chaos. It was pure anarchy. What made it worse is the WNBA's over-reliance on a handful of players to carry entire games. Where's the excitement for Sabrina Ionescu? Where's the consistent spotlight for AJA Wilson? If the league had invested in building compelling narratives around multiple stars, even Angel Reese's theatrics could have been better framed. Instead, we're left with a league clinging to a single cliffhanger, with no resolution in sight.
100%. We haven't seen her as quick as we saw her last season. If you have something going on in your legs, like your legs are actually a huge part of your shooting mechanics, something was thrown off. So if that part of her body was thrown off, it probably threw off the entire mechanics.
If there's ever been a defining moment in WNBA history, this is it. When Caitlin Clark went down, everything unraveled: revenue, fan engagement, and overall excitement. Now, instead of sharing heartfelt messages, fans are demanding real answers. They are asking why the WNBA relies on YouTube clips and wishful thinking, while the NBA has access to biometric tech, elite trainers, and structured load management protocols.
Caitlin Clark has been taking a beating for the last year and a half, and it quickly got physical early in this season, man. There was a lot of games.
The solution is clear. Stop letting players get knocked to the floor without consequence. Start building your brand around multiple stars, and prioritize player safety. Teams need to learn how to defend without undercutting shooters in mid-U every other night, and referees must actually call it when they do. No one wants a rushed return. And honestly, Caitlin Clark shouldn't even consider stepping back onto the court until the league proves it can protect her. She's no longer just a player. She's the brand, the face, the draw, the financial engine, and the core of the entire WNBA ecosystem. Yet somehow, she's the one lying injured on the court while the league collectively shrugs. Clark may be silent on the bench, but that silence speaks louder than any buzzer, and now, people are finally listening. The WNBA has reached a crossroads. Evolve and protect what matters, or watch its golden goose take flight and never return.